All right. Good. We're going to have a really great group today. Good morning, everybody. It's 9 o'clock. We're going to let all of our participants join in so that they don't miss any of today's coffee and conversation. So I'm going to give it a moment just to let everybody who's going to join us do so. And then we'll get started. Give it another minute. We still have some folks joining us. Let me let it level out for us. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I want to welcome all of you to the Greensboro Chamber's Coffee and Conversation for July. I'm Deborah Hooper, and it's a pleasure to see so many join us today for the presentation. I can tell you that the Greensboro Chamber, we take very seriously the work that we do from an advocacy standpoint at the local, state, and federal level. And we're going to focus on local today, and in particular, the city of Greensboro that has placed 5 bonds on the ballot that totals $135 million, and early voting is underway. So I want to encourage everybody to get out there and vote early. And election day is Tuesday, July 26th. So it is upon us, and we thought this would be the perfect opportunity to host this coffee and conversation topic today to make sure that everybody has all the information that they need on these bonds. The first thing that I want to do before we get started is to thank our sponsor for 2022, Cone Health. And you all may have seen recently that Cone Health has been named one of the top 15 health systems in the country. And we are so proud. And today we have Ben Wooten, who's the Director of Emergency Management. I have to tell you that having a top health system in our community makes all of us feel fantastic, because we know that we've got top talent, physicians, all types of healthcare workers taking care of each of us in our community. So Ben, I'm going to turn it over to you and ask you if you would like to say a few words. I know that you manage 5 of the acute care hospitals and outpatient sites in your position as Director of Emergency Management. And you started this position right as the pandemic started. And you have been working to manage and lead us through COVID. So thank you for that. And I also know that you served as a career and volunteer firefighter for more than 14 years. And we thank you for that service as well. So recently you were honored as one of the Triad Business Journal's 40 under 40 leaders in our community. So welcome, and please share some things with us today about what you do.
Thank you, Deborah. Good morning, everyone. And Deborah, thank you for the kind introduction. Happy to be here on the call today. I am coming to you live from family vacation down here in Oak Island. So I do have a cup of coffee and a beach trip planned later today. So happy to be here with you all this morning, though. As Deborah shared, I have the privilege of serving as the Director of Emergency Management and most recently Fire and Life Safety for Cone Health. In my position, I am tasked with planning for and leading the response to all hazards potentially affecting Cone Health and our region. Wide ranging, these possibilities exist. The possibility exists that our health system can be directly or indirectly impacted by these incidents. So to that end, our organization in emergency management utilizes a whole community approach to support our efforts. The whole community approach produces more effective outcomes for all types of threats and hazards that we face, thereby improving security and resiliency. So today's topic, Greensboro's $135 million bond referendum, it seeks to improve the whole community. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, we learned the importance of a healthy community, healthy, resilient community, and how inequities throughout the community can strain our health care system and our emergency response system. So by investing in fire and police facilities, housing, parks and rec, transportation, we are working to close the gap of these inequities. The task of cultivating and sustaining relationships to incorporate the whole community can be challenging. However, the investment yields many dividends. The process can be as useful as the product. In building relationships, we learn, and building relationships and learning more about the complexity of a community, interdependencies that may have been hidden, the vulnerabilities are revealed. Steps taken to incorporate, my notes are covered by an email. Steps taken to incorporate a whole community approach, such as those outlined in our bond referendum before an incident occurs, will lighten the load during emergency response and recovery efforts, ultimately creating a lasting impact in our community. Just want to thank you all for your continued support, not only of Cone Health, but of Greensboro as a whole, the Guilford County region, as we work to talk about as we work and to move forward today's topic. And I hope you all have a meaningful dialogue as we move forward. So thank you. I appreciate the opportunity today.
Well, thank you, Ben, and thank you for all that you do at Cone Health to serve our community and to keep all of us well, safe. That is very important to all of us, and is one of the reasons that Greensboro is a top 100 best place to live in the U.S. I don't know if you all saw that recently, but we're so proud of that accolade. And just this morning, I also saw another couple of wonderful accolades for Green Valley Grill and Printworks Bistro, making the top 100 best restaurants in America for outdoor dining. So we continue to lift Greensboro up, not only across the state, but across the country as well. And it's very exciting. I also want to thank our Circle of Champions partners. These are companies that support us throughout the year to also help make programming like Coffee and Conversation and our signature events and programs possible. At the platinum level, we have a Legacy Federal Credit Union, Cone Health, Lincoln Financial Group, Truist, Truliant Federal Credit Union, and VF Corporation. At the gold level, Novant Health, and at the silver, Kelly Office Solutions, Ralph Lauren, Staunton Capital, and Atrium Health, Wake Forest Baptist. So we thank all of our Circle partners for helping us make this programming possible, and also our advocacy work, which leads us into today's topic. And I especially want to thank Mayor Nancy Vaughn for being with us today. I know that she is so proud of everything that is going on in Greensboro and the recognition that we are getting as a city. And we also have Chris Wilson, who's our Deputy City Manager, with us, who is going to lead us through today's topic and presentation. So I'm going to turn it over to the two of you to take it from here. Thank you.
Mayor, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, I'll just kick it off real quick. Deborah, thank you very much. And I appreciate everybody making time on Thursday to talk about this really important topic. The general election is next Tuesday, so we want to make sure that you have as much information as that you need and that you're comfortable with these bonds. So we're city staff, they can talk about the bonds and education, but they can't advocate for the bonds. I technically am not city staff and I can advocate for the bonds. And so I just want to let you know how important they are for me. One of the most important things that we talk about throughout the city is affordable housing. And we do have a 10-year housing plan, and this will give us the tools that we need to implement it. Probably one of the most exciting bond offerings is our Parks and Recreation bond. And we all know that by and large, parks and recreation bonds are passed by a wide majority. This year, we've got two great projects, and one is $20 million for the Greensboro Science Center, and they continue to do phenomenal things out there. They are great stewards of our tax dollars, and they are wonderful partners with the city of Greensboro. And I think we'll hear a little bit more about that project. And then we have another signature project, $50 million that will be for the Windsor Chavis NOCO Park area. And it will be a one-of-a-kind facility throughout the United States. And I remember when it was heard before the zoning board, one of the commissioners said, wow, I didn't realize we had moved Tanger down the street. Now, while it is not a performing arts center, it is of the same quality, and it will help bring sorely needed services to an area that is very unrepresented. We do have two facility bonds. We have police facility bonds and firefighter facility bonds, and those are very important, as we know how important public safety is. We need to expand our fire stations and our police stations, and this is one of the best ways to do it. And of course, transportation. We all know how important transportation is in people's daily lives, but also what a big tool it is in economic development. So I am going to support all 5 of those bonds, but I'm going to pass it over to Chris so he can explain the details a little bit more, and then I'll be available for questions.
Thank you very much, Mayor Vaughn. Again, my name is Chris Wilson. I'm Deputy City Manager for the City of Greensboro. Certainly my pleasure to be here with you all this morning. I was going to recognize all our distinguished guests, but I see so many, I think that would probably take up the full time that I have. So hello to everyone. I think I know almost everyone on the call. Certainly a great opportunity for us to talk about what you'll see on the ballot if you've not already done so thus far. I am very proud to be here with my team. Many great team members on the call, and what we will do, we're in a short time frame, is have each of them do just a brief minute or two overview of each bond. But before I do that, I want to say to those of you who are on the call, I'm going to share my screen really quickly here. I wanted to quickly show you where you can get more information. Is everyone seeing that? Okay. With that being said, you'll see that you can get bond information from our website. There's information about the bond the bonds that are on the ballot right now. And then if you'll continue to move down the screen, you'll see that we have information that updates you on the 2016 bonds and all the things that were done as part of that. And a few of them have been highlighted, not only in terms of progress, but in terms of impact, so that you can see exactly what that does in the community. So feel free to take a look at that yourself. I'm going to ask Ainsley to help me unshare because I'm not intelligent enough to figure that out at the moment. Thank you very much, Ainsley. So with that being said, what I'd like to do first, as the mayor mentioned, $135 million of bonds that are going to be listed on your ballot. 30 million of that is for housing. 70 million of that is for parks and recreation. 14 million of that is for firefighting facilities. 6 million for law enforcement facilities, and $15 million for transportation. I would first like to call on Nasha McCray and ask her to just give you a quick overview of what we call the Windsor Chavis NOCO facility that will change the way government interacts with the community. Nasha?
Thanks, Chris. Good morning, everyone. I'm Nasha McCray. I'm the Assistant City Manager for the City of Greensboro, and I also serve as the Active Parks and Recreation Director, and I'm very excited to share just an overview of the Windsor Chavis NOCO Community Complex project. It is a unique partnership between an area that is either underrepresented or underserved. And so this new type of facility will combine the best features of a library, a community recreation center, and a park space into a magnificent destination that combines seamlessly all of these services and benefits into a single community hub. What you will see with the creation of this project is a new 70,000 square foot facility that offers everything that residents will need to learn, to play together, that really promotes lifelong learning opportunities, encourages social interaction in a really innovative way. The design for the facility was birthed from a community-based process. We had a very robust engagement effort that included input from the surrounding neighborhoods as well as key stakeholders in the community. And so some of the multi-generational aspects of this gathering place will include your library collection, basketball courts, a teaching kitchen, indoor track spaces, youth and teen spaces, an indoor aquatic facility that includes the lake river, maker spaces, teaching demonstration kitchens and food cafes, computers, Wi-Fi, natural play areas, sensory, as well as in the park spaces at NoCo Park, some improvements include some natural play areas as well as other gathering spaces. The way that this project was designed, it creates some really a lot of flexibility, open sight lines, easy to move furniture, but it really allows us to share this space, as Deputy City Manager Wilson mentioned, to provide some flexibility for community partners to come in to serve the neighborhood, for us to not only respect the culture and the history of the community where this project is located, but it also allows us to provide better services to meet residents' needs where they are. So respecting the history, the culture, but also bringing those needs, community services that focus on the whole family, the whole individual, whether that's health and wellness services, other traditional community government services, to directly embed them. So that encompasses the entire project. We're very excited that this is being put out there for us to consider, and the culmination of the first years of work to think of an innovative way to provide government services for now as well as for future generations.
Okay, thank you, Nasha. And I see my good friends, Beth Hemphill and Glenn Dobrogos on the line here. And I'm going to ask, I believe Beth is going to speak this morning to an overview of what the Greensboro Science Center would do with the bond.
Yes, thanks, Chris. I'm going to share my screen, hopefully I can do that, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. As has been mentioned earlier, yes, the Greensboro Science Center will be part of the $70 million Parks and Rec bond that you will see on the ballot. 20 million of that will be dedicated to the Science Center. And if we've learned one thing, it's that science-based tourism in North Carolina has truly proven to be successful. We've had over 550,000 guests over this past year and have a current recurring economic impact of 77 million. So it's a success, and we want to take it to the next level with a goal of 750,000 guests and more than $100 million of recurring economic impact. So we have developed a gateway project, which is our strategic vision. Two signature pieces of this project. The first one is shown here. It's Expedition Rainforest, the Greensboro Biodome. What is more diverse than a rainforest? It's the most diverse ecosystem. We plan to bring in sloths. I mean, who doesn't love a sloth? Everybody, that's the #1 animal we get asked about. But not only will sloths be hanging from the trees and you'll be able to see them, there will be all kinds of capybara, reptiles, birds, clouded leopards, and capybara, in case you don't know, is the world's largest rat. But we want him at the Greensboro Science Center. So this is what the inside of the biodome will look like. It will be a sun-penetrating roof. So not only will you be interested in the animals that are in this area, you will be surrounded by beautiful plants. We will have art in this area, And when you go outside, there will be this wonderful oasis where you can reflect and think about how you can help those animals that you've just interacted with. The second project that we have is called the Aquatic Rehabilitation and Care Complex. The Science Center currently is already doing a lot of things with seahorses and jellyfish, but this will allow us to put those into the public eye, and the guests can come and interact with our vet and our aquatics team and talk to them. We'll be able to take our research to the next level with coral propagation, our seahorse propagation, and even better, we'll be able to work with sea turtle rehabilitation, which is something that we have done in the past, but it's again been behind the scenes. But we need your help to bring this vision to life. So we would ask that you would vote yes for the Parks and Rec bond that you will see on the ballot. I would like to mention, we were fortunate enough to receive a $20 million bond back in 2009. We matched that $20 million bond with another $25 million. So we have invested $45 million in the Greensboro Science Center since 2009. So we plan to do the same thing again with this $20 million if passed next week. So I appreciate your time. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you, Beth. And with that being said, I'd like to go over to our fire chief, Jim Robinson, who is gracious enough to be with us this morning. Chief, I thank you for your time. Could you just give us a brief overview of the bond for firefighting facilities?
Yeah, thank you, sir, and thank you to the group for inviting us to share a little bit. And I'm going to attempt to share my screen, and if you will, just let me know when you can see it. Anybody? All right, thank you, Beth. That's hard to follow, Beth. Seahorses and sloths, but I'm going to give it a shot. So, you know, we have invested a lot in the community as it relates to fire safety and fire in general. You know, we are a Class 1 accredited organization, and we want to be part of the recruitment tool to get businesses to Greensboro. And, you know, we are looking to invest in some of our older fire stations. And I'm just going to tell you in general, we're looking at 4 facilities with this money. And I'll go through kind of just to show you where they're at, what council district they're in, the population that they serve, more importantly, the businesses that are actually in those communities. It will be Fire Station 8 on Coliseum Boulevard, Station 10 on Westgate City, Station 14 on Summit Avenue, and Station 40 on Pisgah Church. Most all of these stations were, one was built in 1958. The others were in the early 70s. They will be getting really a facelift, almost like down to a skeleton of the station. You will be getting high-speed bay doors, kitchen renovations, asbestos removal. Most of them built during that time frame had asbestos removal. I think one important thing to note is our fire stations were built in you know, the 50s, 60s, and 70s were not gender friendly. We do not have female bathrooms in any of our facilities. All of our newer facilities obviously do, but we've got sliders on the doors when there's a male versus a female, and they're able to lock the doors, but they have to share a shower. They share bedrooms. So it is uncomfortable sometimes for our employees, and we have to address that to make our facilities gender friendly. Window replacements, energy efficiency. Like I mentioned, the shower, we've got foundation issues at some of the stations. And it's really to address employee recruitment retention. It is to address our response times. And as you can see, you know, station looks pretty old in the picture. It was built in the 1970. Original construction cost was $143,000. You can see the square footage. Council District number 1, population 18,000 that it serves, 842 businesses. Total employees served in that district are 7,600. Out of that firehouse, one company rides 3,200 calls. And that's probably increased just a little bit now. So a fairly busy fire station there. Station 10 on Gate City Boulevard has 2 trucks in it. There are a total of 8 firefighters on each shift assigned to that. It was built in 1958. Original cost was $81,000. Pretty small footprint for 8 folks to stay in. We're busting at the seams at this station. It's in District 5. 14,000 is the population, 541 businesses, 6,100 employees work in that district. And for 18-19, it was 1,700 incidents, probably more around 2,000 today. Station 14 on Summit Avenue, built in 1972, $185,000. There are 2 trucks out of this station. It's in Council District number 2. 12,000 population, 153 businesses, 1,100 employees, and similar response calls to Station 10. And finally, is Station 40. It was constructed in 1972 at a cost of $181,000. It was built over an old landfill. So we are having some issues with the foundation. We have cracks in the wall where you can see to the outside from our bedrooms. And we have been spending money addressing it, but we really need the bond to help us with stabilizing that station or relocating it. We don't know exactly which way we'll go on this station. It's in District 3, 15,000 population. Total number of businesses, fairly large because of Battleground Avenue, that corridor up to Pisgah Church, 659 businesses, a total of 6,600 employees. So a daytime population fairly large in that area. If you're familiar with Lawndale and Pisgah Church and Battleground, you know how busy that is. Total incidents, 1,500. There's only 1 truck out of that station. That has increased quite a bit. We have some elder care facilities in that area. That number is probably around 2,000 post-COVID. So it's really increased in that area. So just to tie it up, you know, I think for us the money is certainly an exciting opportunity to address some of our older facilities that, quite frankly, I don't know how we're going to address them without it. And it has it's just an exciting time for us. You know, we rebuilt Fire Station 7 on Wendover Avenue. We rebuilt Fire Station 56 on Franklin Boulevard. Very nice facilities, something that the community certainly can be very proud of what they see, of how we're spending our dollars. Fire Station 56, we kept over $4 million local to this community from that investment. And we were certainly excited about that. And we certainly would appreciate the support for it. So pending any questions, I appreciate the opportunity to come in and speak to you.
Thank you so much. And guys, I recognize our time, but I do want to fit in just a few more comments here. Chief Sigmund, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Would love for you to just chat a little bit about what the law enforcement facilities bond would do.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Deputy City Manager. I have a tough act to follow, following certainly Parks and Rec and Fire Department, but I'll do my very best. What the Greensboro Police Department's hoping to do with bond money is to do a couple of things. We have a records management system that is about 20 years old. And we all know if you buy a cell phone, within 6 months to a year, cell phone technology advances. You buy a computer, if you decide to buy a laptop or a desktop computer in a very short period of time, technology grows and advances. Well, we have a records management system that's about 20 years old. What that system does is it houses all of our case reports. It houses all of our crime reports. It also houses our personnel records, our equipment inventories. It helps officers run records checks when necessary as well. The problem is because the technology is so old and it's been upgraded over the past 20 years, it runs slow. We can no longer put upgrades into the system. We need to do a full system replacement. And it's also critical because your law enforcement agency, the Greensboro Police Department, has to partner with other entities in the city to serve all of you, our community best. For example, Guilford Metro 911 is looking to change and upgrade their computer-aided dispatch system, their CAD system. It's essential that our computer system be able to talk to the CAD system at Guilford Metro. So we're really hoping with some of the bond money to be able to replace our records management system again, because technology has upgraded and changed so much in the last 20 years. Also use some of the money, as Jim Robinson mentioned, to replace infrastructure, make changes to make us more efficient in our infrastructure. Police headquarters, we have 2 floors that have nothing's been done to them. We would love to renovate and upgrade our 2 floors to bring some more personnel downtown to increase efficiency again. We're always trying with the staffing we have to increase our efficiency so we can serve our clients, our customers better. So we'd like to upgrade and make changes and do construction to those 2 floors. Our public safety training facility that is a flagship that we share with the fire department. We'd like to do some upgrades there as well for our law enforcement training areas. So there's so many things that we would love to do that would increase efficiency, increase the training of our staff, make them better able to serve the community. And we just look forward, and I would be glad to answer any questions that I can. And we just look forward to serving the community for many years to come. Thank you.
Sigmund, thank you so much for being here with us this morning. I am going to turn it over to Cindy Blue, who's going to talk to us about our housing bond, which I know many of you are very interested in. Cindy?
All right, thank you, Chris. I'll do a very brief screen share here. All right. The City of Greensboro in City Council in October of 2020 adopted the Housing GSO 10-year plan for affordable housing. The plan anticipates a public contribution of about $50 million. So the $30 million in the 2020 housing bond referendum is a critical component of success under this plan. The plan addresses housing issues in 4 key areas. Access to home ownership. This is not only getting first-time home buyers into housing, but also successfully keeping them there by providing services such as homebuyer education, default counseling, foreclosure assistance, those types of activities. Affordable rental homes is a major component of the work that we plan to do. These are investments that the city makes in affordable housing projects to keep them affordable for the long term. And by affordable, that can be meant different things to different income groups. Where we are really focused is those households who are making less than about $35,000 a year. And we make those investments in projects that will provide affordable housing for up to 30 years. We also are seeking to make key investments in neighborhoods through neighborhood reinvestment, and there were 5 neighborhoods targeted within the 10-year plan. Those are the Mill District near Revolution Mill, Kings Forest, which is up off of Phillips Avenue, Dudley Heights, which is off of Eastgate City Boulevard, Glenwood, which is just to the southwest of downtown, and Random Woods, which is a little bit farther west from Glenwood. So they sort of encircle the city. And what these activities will compose of is making available housing repair activities, making available infrastructure investments that will strengthen and preserve these neighborhoods for the long term. The 4th key area under the 10-year plan is supportive housing. And this is housing that is targeted directly to those those individuals in our community that are facing really acute needs. These are the folks who are living in tents. They are staying in our homeless shelters with nowhere to go. They are the folks that have high barriers to housing, which may include medical issues or psychiatric issues. They are the folks who are most in need of care. And so the city will be making investments in units that will provide the housing as well as the supportive services that go along with that to be able to keep folks stably housed and help them acclimate to housing and hopefully move on into the more permanent housing sector. So I will be happy to take any questions. I do want to say one thing about the 2016 housing bonds. We are about 95% committed or expended on the 2016 housing bonds and have produced over 1,700 units and leveraged over $70 million. So we believe they've been wildly successful, and we plan to be even more successful under the 2020 housing bonds. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Cindy. And last but certainly not least, Hannah Cockburn, Director of Transportation for Greensboro. Hannah, would you mind just chatting a little bit about the bonds for transportation?
Absolutely, and thank you, Mr. Wilson. As the mayor noted, the transportation network really serves as an essential service to our community every single day. And this bond will allow the city to continue to invest in our multimodal transportation system that makes Greensboro a great place to get around, no matter how you choose to get around. The $15 million bond will allow us to leverage close to $60 million in state and federal funds that'll help us construct new sidewalks and greenways, improve safety at intersections, upgrade our traffic signal system, and enhance our transit equipment, facilities, and services. I'm happy to answer any specific questions you might have about some of the projects we intend to fund, but we're really grateful for the opportunity to be with you today. Thanks.
And thank you to everyone who provided information today. Obviously, our role here is to serve you as a community and support you as a community. And we do that very proudly, but it's also our role to provide you the information you need to make decisions when you get to the poll. And I hope we've done that to the extent that you can make the decision you need to make as you go to either early voting or on election day, which we highly encourage you to do. With that being said, it was my pleasure to be here this morning. And I thank you so much. I'm going to turn it back over to Deborah.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Mayor Vaughn, as well as all of our speakers today. Today was about education. As part of our government affairs work here at the Chamber, we want to make sure everyone has the information that they need when they go to the polls. And I think we have accomplished that. I do want to take just a moment before we transition into networking to see if there are any questions from participants on the Zoom call with us today. All right. Well, there is a link to the information about the bonds in the chat room. Please feel free to capture that if you want to go learn even more. And again, Mayor Vaughn, thank you so much for being with us. Chris, we greatly appreciate you lining up all of our speakers, and we appreciate all of our speakers today coming to be with us to share this vital information. At this point, I am going to turn it over to my colleague, Ainsley Heffinger, who is going to take it from here. So Ainsley, please.
Thanks so much, Deborah. Since we have a little bit, just a tiny bit less time than normal, I'm going to run through kind of our general announcements and then open it up to everyone. I'm going to echo what everyone else has said. Please remember, early voting is happening right now, and the polls will be open on Tuesday. We've heard in the forecast it might be a little rainy next week, so today feels like a lovely day to take a little walk with your water, go get some early voting done. So we encourage you all to do that. Also want to remind everyone that, again, if you go to the chat box, there's those three little dots. If you're in the chat box, if you click on those, you can download the chat. I've been watching, and there have been some great links and resources where you can see more information on many of the projects that have been spoken about today, and that website that Chris was talking about. So you can find out more information about each of these specific bonds, but also what has been done with previous bond money. So see kind of where your tax dollars have gone and where we hope to take them in the future. So that's definitely a resource we want to make sure you all have. Again, thank you to Cone Health for being our sponsor today and for this entire series. On a selfish note, we want to remind you that our State of Our Community Luncheon is coming up at the end of August. It'll be August 24th. Tickets, tables, sponsorships, they're all on sale right now. So we hope that y'all take a look at that. We're very excited about the programming coming up. We'll be back at the Corey Convention Center. So very near one of those fire stations that we were talking about. But that also means that there's no coffee and conversation in August. So we take just a little break while we're focusing on that big event. So we will be back with y'all in September. Final thing I want to remind y'all about before we open it up is if any of you have been a part of Leadership Greensboro or Other Voices, both programs are currently recruiting for their next class. I know Other Voices will be in its 30th anniversary class this year. So there's a lot of great stuff that is planned. So if you've been a part of it, please send word to someone you know who needs to take it. If you haven't, we encourage you to look into it because we would love to have you. So that's all of our plugs. So now we're going to open it up. I know there's lots of friends on here who have more thoughts about the bonds, maybe people who are new to these events, want to introduce themselves and their business. So don't be shy. Who would like to go first? I see a few people grinning that know I will call on them if someone doesn't say something. All right, Wayne Young, you're up.
I knew that was coming. Hey, I'm Wayne Young. I'm a real estate broker with Allen Tate, and but I'm also a Chamber of Commerce ambassador, and just so excited about all the things that are coming on here in the Greensboro area. I'm also a volunteer at the Greensboro Science Center, and so excited about the plans for these new things. We need that to just keep this great momentum that's been going on. Glenn has done a wonderful job of creating a vision that we all need to, just jump on board that train. So do support those. And I'm also on the board for Habitat for Humanity, and there's so much need out there. I just can't say, as a real estate broker, oftentimes we're dealing with the folks that can easily afford housing, but there are a lot of folks out there that are struggling with housing in this market today. So I would just emphasize everything that was said today, that we need these bonds badly. I've already been to the polls, so you've got my votes on it. Thank you.
I just want to say that I really appreciate Wayne and his advocacy across the board on everything. And he is always at the ribbon cuttings for new companies, and he is such a welcoming voice. And he has a lot of firsthand knowledge with the Science Center, and I think he dives with the sharks. Literally, I feel like I dive with sharks. He does dive with sharks. So if you want to know more about the Science Center, Wayne is just such a great advocate for everything Greensboro.
We agree, Mayor Vaughn. He is a man about town. We don't go anywhere where someone isn't saying, Wayne, hello. So we're very fortunate to have him as one of our chamber ambassadors. Who else? Who else has something to say? Want to talk about your business? Say hello. Now, I know you can't all be that shy. Glenn, you look like you're itching to speak.
actually I wasn't, but I've lost my voice partially. I've been sick, so that's why I haven't spoke up much. But again, echo what everyone just said about Wayne. I couldn't agree more. But he basically symbolizes so many people associated with this organization. Many of you are here today, and the passion of our board and our members, and we're humbled by it every day. And if we're blessed again to get this bond here in 2020, like we did in 2029, just be assured that we will be 100% accountable with the funds. Our goal is to transform Greensboro into a top 5 destination for science-based tourism in general. And we'll just be very appreciative, and I can guarantee that we'll work hard just like we did over the last decade. So thank you.
I think I heard someone come off of mute right before then.
It was me. I'm Margaret Benjamin. Thank you. It's so good to hear so much about Greensboro that's about improvement. I mean, we know how much we love Greensboro and what an outstanding city it is, but this is all about not just repair and maintenance, but also about how can we be better. And I serve on the Greensboro Public Library Foundation board, but in this role today, I'm a volunteer and have gotten together with several other volunteers, and you will see us at the polling sites. We have flyers and a very small number of signs that you'll see around the city promoting all 5 bonds. So we put a link in the chat. If anyone would like to join us at the polling sites to promote all 5 bonds, please join us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Margaret. Anyone else? Anyone thought of a question? I'm checking the chat because we keep getting great information in there. So again, I'm going to tell y'all. Now, JJ, I think that you should tell people, we don't just put awesome ideas and offers in the chat.
Okay, so we are, first off, also, I used to work at the Greensboro Science Center for close to 7 years. So I worked in the admissions and membership and did some other work there. So it's a great place. So I'm happy to see it expanding. But right now, Transform Greensboro, we are offering 3 free hours of our conference room time. So if you go to our website, click the button, it'll make you can sign up for an account. You'll get 3 free hours. You can pick which location. And then any time that you add on will be reduced or get a 15% discount. And we'll also be doing International Co-working Day on August 8th coming up with free co-working day as well. So if you have anybody who would like to try co-working and come in and use our space, it's available. Try that. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. If y'all haven't been to Transform Greensboro, it's a tremendous space down on Elm Street. Our Launch Greensboro program is housed out of there. So it's well worth, if you need just a day away to do your work someplace else, have a different vibe, a different look, meet some new friends. It's a great place. So hope you'll take advantage of that. Anyone else?
I know I got my time. I'll just say, I know Nasha changed her background to the concept drawing for Windsor Chavis. So duck, Nasha. So that's what it would look like. And I will just say for that project in particular, the intent beyond a very nice facility that would serve the community both through recreation and support in terms of reference material, workforce development, financial literacy support. There's so many things programmed. I will say that there is also a health component by which we will have someone present who would actually provide health services in that building and then within the area so that we can serve the community in such a way that it is immediately accessible. And that is actually going to be something that would model the way government serves the community moving forward. So if you think about where I'm sitting right now in this building downtown, which is a fine building, It's not always accessible to everyone, and it can be a challenge to maneuver, even for me sometimes. And if we are located within neighborhoods or out in the community, we become more accessible and we can be more supportive. So that's the concept drawing behind her. I just wanted to, I saw it and thought I might point it out.
Thanks, Chris. And I think Nasha also put some great information in the chat where you can go and see more about the concept drawings. So again, we're gonna beat you over the head with it today. We encourage you to download the chat because there's awesome stuff in there. All right, we have a few more minutes left.
Hi, with Greensboro History Museum. I just want to say right now we have an exhibit at the museum called North Carolina Democracy, 11 Elections. Of course, voting is one of the key parts of democracy. And I have to think, we chose 11 elections through time that had interesting choices and what change came out of that. And I have to think in the future, a historian might look back at this year and look at the elections, the odd timing of the elections, for example, and what were the choices that voters had? And was there a change? Was there an impact on our community by the voting that happened? So putting it in that bigger democracy context, of course, we hope you come here. The exhibit, I think, also shows how at a local and state level, big changes happen. And I think we're seeing that nationally as well. So anyway, I hope you come here, maybe Thursday night for Democracy Games Night, but also celebrate democracy by voting and maybe taking a trip to the museum.
Thanks so much, Carol. And I mean, while you're there, go hang out at the park. You know, we did our ambassadors meeting at LeBauer Park last week. We had a great time. So you can park once and have a good old downtown Greensboro night. Anyone else? All right. Well, we will give you a couple minutes back. I think you all have some reading to do, some research on some websites, or we are giving you 8 minutes back to go ahead and find your local polling place to make sure that you are taking advantage of the good weather this weekend and getting that vote in. So thank y'all all so much for being here. Mayor Vaughn, Chris, thank y'all for helping put a stellar panel together for all of this information. We look forward to seeing all of y'all soon, and happy voting, everyone.